Hello, everybody. I know I said I would do a live one today and sent out all the information. I am not as good with the technology as I thought I was, so I will have to practice more and do another one live later. But that doesn't mean we can't have our guest, Sarah Everhart Skeels, join me today to talk about meaningful inclusion and some ways that we need to make it even more powerful than we've been in the past and make it really stronger, more meaningful. So, welcome, Sarah.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
Yes, and I
Happy St. Patrick's Day. You have your green on. I do too.
I do. How about that? I have that tiny bit. I found something that has some green.
That's what I found. I don't have any. I'm not Irish, but that I
No,
know of, who knows, but
I'm
thought
not.
I'd represent anyway.
Yeah, I'm not Irish, and I don't usually look good in green. So that's my. Yeah, so I don't have a
Fair.
green in my wardrobe. But let's talk about what inclusion really means. I mean, to talk about compliance, accessibility, then I think we need to go to inclusion and then to justice. But let's
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
inclusion right now. Um, yeah, I want to read you some statistics, and I think these are important ones. Okay, so people with disabilities make up at least 25% of the population. That may be an undercount, but at least that. The Latino Hispanic community, 20% of the US population. The Black community, 14.5% of the US population. Members of the LGBTQ community, 9% of the US population. The Asian community, about 7% of the US population, and the indigenous peoples, approximately 3% of the population. So even accounting for, intersectionality, we are a whole lot of people.
The largest people have, it's been said that this disability population is the largest, uh, when we used to talk about minority groups, the largest minority group in the
Yeah,
country. Because, and it doesn't, it crosses age, it crosses class, it crosses all barriers, right? All barriers.
exactly. Exactly. And yet when you see people posting about inclusion or DEI places, yeah, they'll picture somebody from, that's Black, somebody Latino, members of the LGBTQ community. They might include age, never disability. And I
Right.
call them out on it now. I do online and social media and say, you forgot the largest minority here, where
Yeah.
you have symbols for everything except disability. Let's make that happen.
Right.
And
Because in all of those movements are disabled people as well.
right,
Let's
exactly.
be, let's just, it's just a fact.
It
You
is.
can
It's
be
a reality.
disabled and gay. You can be disabled and insert anything other
Right.
identity. You can be all of that. And isn't
Yeah.
that wonderful? It's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing. It is a beautiful thing. It's the way we bring everybody together. It's a,
Right.
isn't it wonderful that we can combine all these things into one person? Like
Right.
what a three-dimensional, when we think about disability many times, people want to make it a single dimension thing that you are
Mhm.
your impairment. And the
Right.
disability community now is saying no. And in inclusion, with inclusion, we're saying no, we are a group of
Right.
people. We just want to be citizens. We want to be engaged in the community. We want to do the things everybody else does.
We're the
We're
most
equity. We're equity owed group.
right. We're the most inclusive group. And
And right.
so I'm thinking maybe we need to start there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's us reach out to invite other groups, not just for, I mean, they will, most people will eventually become disabled if they live long enough.
That too.
But let's reach out and say, okay, you know, we welcome you
Hmm.
because we are you.
Right.
And, you know, get ourselves in the news. God, I hate doing that part, but I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. I'm good. Let's get ourselves into the news. Let us say, we're having this. You are welcome to be with
Hmm.
us. And
Yeah.
and I think we need to get strong groups of people with disabilities who are doing advocacy together
Yeah.
and saying, okay, we want to take over some media because we
Yeah.
don't hit the media at all. I
Right.
mean, how have you heard about the big case where they're trying to close down services to veterans? Now there's the one with, again, they're trying to, there's a hearing today in Congress about, well, maybe there's too much fraud in home and community-based care. Maybe we should go back to, like all of this stuff. Nobody's hearing about it. None of
Right.
the podcasts are talking about it.
The way media is the way disability is being portrayed in the media
Right,
right now.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. As a burden, we're back to what was being done 120 years ago.
Well, or we're just plain being ignored.
Right.
Like if we don't pay attention to them, nobody will notice what we're doing to them.
Right.
And
Right.
they're too big for us to let do things.
Right.
So, yeah, because I think we need to be the leaders. Because
Well, it seems like it.
if you consider all of these together, like I said, even including intersectionality, we are larger than that whole white, cisgendered, heterosexual, Christian or pseudo-Christian, I should say, able-bodied male. And yet they've got the power.
Yeah. Yep. It seems right now anyway.
Well, we have to change that.
Yes, indeed. That is
Um,
something that has been and coalition building, I think,
yeah,
the best way. And I think you can also sell the disability community back to other places trying to create change. This is how we had the ADA in the first place. You had the civil rights movement, you had Stonewall,
right.
then you had
Yeah,
the disability rights movement follow, and all of those on
right.
the
Yeah,
slide, sort of staying on the wave that was already created, but it
right.
wasn't. It's all been done as an effort, as a cross
Mhm.
coalition movement,
Right.
not just disabled people, but
No,
groups of people who believe in equity. And
right,
I think that's where the "nothing about us without us" came from. That slogan.
right.
It
Yeah,
says it all.
right. And we built it really based on what that civil rights movement it was. MLK Jr.'s leadership was phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. And what we have done has built on that. I mean, that demonstration in 1977, would you believe it was that long ago? But the Section 504 one, I was alive then. Uh,
Yeah,
it was before I was disabled. No, I was disabled then. Excuse me, I take that back. I was disabled then, just kind of trying to figure out my life. Uh,
yeah.
get it back together, figure out
I
where.
was 10.
Well, yeah, and you weren't disabled then.
I was not. I did was
Yeah,
not in
yeah,
this world
right.
yet.
Yeah,
No.
no, I was I was 31. Jeez, Louise.
Was
I was
that the
old.
capital climb, the capital step climb that you're talking about?
No, I was talking about the one in California, the occupation of the
Oh, yeah.
VW building. Yeah,
Yep.
particular occupation, by the way, I see as the solution to a lot of our issues. It was racially diverse. It was gender diverse. It was certainly diverse as far as disabilities went. And that is what we need to focus on. That's our beginning. That's our roots. We cannot afford, even within our own group, and there is a lot of it, although I think some of it's tamping down, but I'm never sure, like, oh, well, that's not real disability, or I think somebody wrote something recently about the kind of the intermittent disability where you you have symptoms sometimes, but not all
Hmm.
the times. And
Yeah.
people will say, well, well, I guess you can't really be disabled. You were walking without a cane yesterday. And being somebody that went through that early in my disability,
Yeah.
you start to doubt yourself.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Am I feeling what I'm thinking I'm feeling? Is what's happening to me what I feel is happening? But are they right and not me? Uh, but we can't do that to someone else. We have the obligation. I mean, you and I know we've been in enough circles. There are people that do that.
Yeah.
I remember some people we used to sail with that would, say, well, that person's not really disabled, So it was like,
I'm sure it's up to us to make those determinations. If you look at the way they collect data, all those the statistics that you were talking about at the beginning of our conversation are
mm,
all collected by self-reported data, and in answer to one
oh,
question: do you have
right,
difficulty doing something in your
right,
life? So
yeah,
uh, anyway, I think that's the unfortunate thing I think of when we think about, and so when we think about disability, it's always the general public believes it's all about what you can't do and it's all about your impairment and how it gets in the way. And I think we need to think about disability very differently. I think that's a
yeah,
part of this
yeah,
is to think about the environment. The environment disables people far more than their
right,
whatever it is their health condition is.
right.
Uh,
And if,
inex- the inability to get into a store, the
right,
inability to get into a restaurant, the inability to get into a voting place, the inability to protest, in fact,
right,
use your First Amendment rights,
right,
et cetera. Those are all based on access. And
right,
who can access, even computers, what screen readers, what kinds of things are available to screen readers? What kinds
yeah,
of things are available to, we have so much technology now. The the disability part can mostly be addressed, I think, in our present
right,
world. We choose not to, but it can be.
yeah,
No amount of,
right,
Stella Young, who has been credited with sort of coining that phrase inspiration porn in her 14
yeah.
minute TED talk. She says no, about attitude and having a good attitude because we're always told to have a good attitude and you just need a good attitude and you'll be fine.
Oh, if I have a good attitude, I'm going to go out and take a nice walk today, right?
Well, and what she says is no amount of smiling at a pair of at a staircase is going to
Right,
turn it into a ramp.
right, exactly.
So,
Well, this is
so
true. Yeah,
it's an
yeah,
important thing to think about is the environment and what is going on in the environment. And it's not
right.
just the physical environment. That's easy.
Attitudinal environment is a real tough one.
Right. That's the hardest one. That's what
Yeah,
we're up against, in my opinion.
yes,
We are up against a continuing attitude of disability equals less than.
right,
Disability equals second class citizen.
right.
An
So,
umbrella term for disenfranchisement.
right, yep. So we need to pull it together. There is a lot of, there are a lot more, there's a bigger presence of disability now in the media from people with disability. There's
Yes.
disability media, disability scoop. I think there's another new podcast, Nothing Without Us, nothing about us without us.
Nice.
And so and there is a global billion strong. It is another global movement. And again,
Well, yeah, 15% of the world population is disabled. 15%.
at least,
That's a huge across
right.
the world. Yeah, and
Yes,
that's definitely an underreported number.
yes, it is. Has to be an underreported number. So, there is this billion strong movement. Again, let's get together, form an association, a professional association of media professionals. And I'm hardly a journalist, as you know. Um, and today, not a very good techie. I'm going to have
That's
to,
all right. You're just
I have
showing
to
that you're
renew my
fully
geek,
human.
I have to renew my geek card. I certainly, what worked so well yesterday did not today.
Oh, well,
Oh, that's life.
yes, it is.
That's our life. That is actually one of the things that we contend with. If we are dependent on technology, as
Yeah.
some of us are, that's part of the issue, right?
Yes.
So, but just because I'm old doesn't mean I can't learn more technology. I'll get this fixed, you know.
Impressive how you're willing to take on new things.
Well, it's because it keeps me young and alive.
Yeah.
It's not very impressive. It's just this is how I have to be, and it's who I am. So, and I am a geek. I'm a nerd, a geek, and an activist. They don't always seem to go along, but um,
That's what makes you you.
that's it. And that's the thing about disability,
Hmm.
because the variation is as diverse as there are people.
Yep.
I mean, you and I know, even if you're talking spinal cord injury, you're talking level, which motor neurons or,
No to anyone is the same.
exactly,
It's just the
exactly,
truth.
exactly. So, and how is that different from the whole population?
Right.
How
Well,
can we say that this is any different? I know somebody had posted, and I've been responding to things because some things like just strike me, and I'm going to have to stop doing that if I'm going to keep on doing my job, because I need to do that too. But somebody posted, about being gay and having survived, I am worth loving, and I is what he was saying. And I'm like, well, of course.
yeah.
And I hope that's what you're finding, because, you know, um, we have to take that whole issue also out of this craziness.
Yeah.
I mean, people are made in different ways, different color eyes, different color hair, tall, short, wide,
Thank goodness. If we all look the same,
how would
uh,
you know each other?
it wouldn't be the colorful world that it is. And
Right.
we need
Yeah.
difference in this world. We need
Right.
perspective. That's how you solve problems, is
Right.
you have
Exactly.
as many people as possible who are impacted by the issue at the
Right.
table. As
Yeah.
hard as that is, it I think it brings about sustainable solutions, not
Right.
band-aids.
Yeah.
And you have to be very thoughtful about that. There's a lot of, for anybody who's listening and they're thinking, well, how could I make my organization more inclusive? And it's about building flexibility into the things you do, like the way you
Right.
meet. Not everybody has transportation, so meeting on Zoom is a viable way to get things done if you're working with a group of people.
Right.
Making sure that where you do have a meeting um, can accommodate the people that you're inviting. You
Right.
think about, we're always told that we have special needs and our needs are special. And I don't think that's true. I think they're different. I think every human has needs. I
Right.
think the needs of the many have been normalized and they're not even needs anymore. They just
Right.
are.
Thank you for listening to part one of my discussion with Sarah Everhart Skeels on what makes inclusion meaningful. If you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. You can subscribe for free. There are some additional benefits for paid memberships. So don't forget, leave me a like, make some comments, and tell your friends. They can find this podcast at patreon.com/nothingwithoutus, and we will soon be back up on YouTube and Spotify. Join us in the next part of the discussion with Sarah, where we pick up with how accommodations enter into the picture of meaningful inclusion. The third part will address how important belonging and empowerment are. So until the next Nothing Without Us, I'm Annette.